Theoretically, an even much more paranoid conspiratorial phone call. Interview. The Casting Director. Part 1. Hi, my name is Jorge Villacorta. My position in the production, theoretically, and a much more paranoid conspiratorial phone call was casting director. The casting director, well, what I'm going to do is to give you a glimpse of an insight of what demands to be a casting director in a movie like Theoretically and even much more paranoid conspiratorial phone call. Well, that's a bit complicated because you need a model, a social model, to grasp the particularities of this project. Otherwise, you will be explaining only the habitus logic behind this project. This means the habitus is the socialized subjectivity that has a group of people and can be recognized by a style of making things, of a way of living. Therefore, so there are the particular dispositions, tendencies, expectancies, and habitus, and a structure, a social structure that is useful to structure the society, and at the same time helps to is a structuring a structure. Well, the point here is, if I use the particular number of rules that my direct experience give me, I will be talking about something that sounds evident, but that is not that evident. My point is, the scientific object must be built, and social objects are not directly visible because reality is relational. Therefore, you need to eliminate all the preconceptions, all those concepts that avoid a scientific way of creating data. You may think that the data is out there available, but it's not like that. What you are looking at is information that you have been conditioned by your social position to recognize as such, as evident. But it doesn't mean at all that you are looking at it, that you are looking, that you are inquiring, that you are searching for the phenomenon that really interested you. Naturally, the people who are interested in trying to find out the laws behind the apparent are not common, and they are devoted to develop a particular activity, a very specific activity. And in this particular case, when I say that I'm going to explain what a casting director does in a project like this, I have two alternatives. I can give you the obvious explanation, the one that you can say, oh yes, those things are there, that's obvious, it's happening like you say. Or I can say that this is a project that is defined by this relation with other projects developed by different producers that have specific habitus, socialized subjectivities, which would give us what defines this project in relation to the whole of the society, and what is specific of this casting project, but at the same time is related to all the other projects. If we don't have comparable qualities, how can we talk about casting directing? Do you understand? If I think that the whole world speaks a particular language, I cannot, and I talk about that language, I am not talking about human language, I am talking a specific language inside the field of human language. So, I might tell you about this language, but I'm not thinking about the whole language. Well, but you may think I'm not interested in this, in other language, in other casting director, casting directing practices, but in this one, that's true. But that's true. But due to my own responsibility, I need to see, to look at it, to look at the process, to look at my responsibility from a scientific perspective. You may wonder why. Well, this project is not developed by people interested in making movies that satisfy a general public, because this project considers films as art and not movies as entertainment, because the attitude is different. This is not an extension of daily life, but keeps an attitude called aesthetic distance. The first one corresponds to popular aesthetics, and the second one is what is usually called art. In the United States, movies are called art because there was an agreement between the producers and the cultural elite, the universities, the governmental offices, the museums, etc. So, when I am talking about casting practices, the very first thing we should talk about is that there are different kinds of productions and what is the relation between this production and other productions. Probably you have a notion of casting directing, and the very first thing you should think is that the classification used to talk about casting directing is suspectful by itself, because it assumes that there is a work division that is specialized in this area. But even though there may be someone who has the responsibility of developing the activity, you must recognize that the choice of the cast depends on a variety of factors, and the term itself that points out a particular being or casting agency or responsible person shouldn't be accepted totally like that without observing what casting directors do in different environments. Well, that's important. You know why? Because you probably, if you like movies as entertainment, you probably have heard that the casting director looks for a particular actor, that sometimes there are a big number of interviews, and these interviews are trying to identify a particular actor or person who fills a profile, etc, etc, etc. Yes, but you know that even though that's an extended version of what casting directing is, it corresponds to a particular industry. When you make some neo-realist Italian movies and you read or learn somehow that some of the actors were chosen because they like the director and the director knew how to use them in a movie to provide the